Ladies and gentlemen, today we are doing a lecture. Everyone should have their notebook out. We are going to move pretty quick. We got a lot to cover. Friendly reminder, on Thursday, you have a test, 25 questions, all multiple choice. I can't really tell you what it's going to look like until you see it. Next week we can really talk about it. If you've taken AP World, AP Push, AP Euro, it's only about 1/3 of them are going to be stimulus questions. So it's not all stimulus, if that makes your heart happy. So it's a little bit easier than stimulus questions, but they are a little tricky because they're giving you scenarios. So, all right. But we can't really discuss it until you live it. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to rip off the Band-Aid, and then next week we can kind of talk about better ways to study once you kind of understand what I'm talking about. So, Thursday, you have a test. Thursday, your focus is due. You know that focus you've had for 2 weeks, which is worth 50 points? It is due on Thursday. I will have no kindness and no tolerance for you not getting it done. Let's be clear. What?
Do we have to submit the vocab sheets like with focus, or is that done separate?
It's totally separate. That's why they're literally separate.
But do we just put the vocab sheets?
Yes. Oh yeah, I should write that on my board. Yeah,
Okay.
vocab. Vocab comes in on Thursday too. Thank you, Amelia. Vocab. Got it. So your focus is due on Thursday. Your vocab is due, and you've already submitted your breakdown because we did that like 2 weeks ago. All right. Tomorrow you have a list quiz. I know. I'm so excited. I can't wait either. I will not sleep tonight because of my excitement. With that being said, I have added 3 more things to it since the last quiz. I've added U.S. Constitution. Yeah. U.S. Declaration of Independence and Marbury versus Madison. Every time we do a primary or a Supreme Court in class, they get added to the list. So what should you write down on your list? The 3 boxes. That is what you need. So on your list, besides the fact that we had from the breakdown, you need to add U.S. Constitution, U.S. Declaration of Independence, and Marbury versus Madison. Those 2 documents and 1 Supreme Court case can be on it. So keep that in mind. Okay? So 5 questions coming from that sheet tomorrow. Okay, keep in mind, you don't have to complete the list, actual sheet. You're not submitting it at all, but it will help you long term. I'm telling you, this is for your benefit long term. Friendly reminder, I will not be here on Wednesday. I'm having surgery. I will finish content tomorrow. Everyone clear? Nice. So on Wednesday in class, you can work on your focus. You can work on your vocab. You can do whatever you need to get done. And Thursday you have a test. Friday we do a breakdown, and we are officially going. You'll see all the major components. Perfect. All right. Who can let me know where is the last thing we wrote in our notes? Hayden.
We wrote about how the last thing we wrote was created.
Okay, perfect. So Magna Carta. We know that Magna Carta was created in 1215 in England. We know that it is going to create Parliament, which is the legislative branch of the UK, which, by the way, we will be studying at APGov. Okay? You need to put a star. Americans believed they were British. Put a star. Americans believed they were British and had a right to representation in what? Parliament. Okay, that is why this is a huge deal. You need to understand. We believed it so much, we came up with a really cute little chant. And what did we chant all the time? What did we chant, Ebba?
No taxation.
Yes! It's very catchy. No taxation without representation. Okay? Because the Magna Carta creates Parliament. And what is Parliament responsible for? Taxes. Tax collection. You need to know that as well. Parliament is in control of the purse. The purse is taxes. Okay? So, we believe that because we are British citizens, we are entitled to representation in Parliament. And because we didn't have that, we justify our overthrow. All right, here we go. Nice. Okay. Your next document we're going to talk about is the Declaration of Independence. Write it down. So, just a subheading. Declaration of Independence. You need to know what year it was signed, and it's signed in what year, Rohan? 1776. Okay. You need to know it's an Enlightenment document. Who are the three authors? In order of importance, Cody.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yes. His best friend. You haven't seen Hamilton yet, have you?
No.
Hi. I may be annoying talking about Hamilton, but it will help you. So just do the thing. If you haven't watched it, do the damn thing. Okay? Who's his bestie?
Alexander Hamilton.
No, he hates Hamilton more than anything. Who is it? Lucy? James Madison. And who was the third and final one, Lucy? He's the most famous American. He's fat and pudgy. And he's so cute. Aw, Lucy's heart's breaking. Who is it, Joseph? Ben Franklin. Okay, your three authors are Thomas Jefferson, and he writes like 3/4 of it. Madison writes 1/4 of it. And then Ben Franklin just makes editor notes. Okay? So, you need to know it's an Enlightenment document. You need to know your three authors. You need to know, put a star next to it, that it will be replicated in other countries. What other country will we study this year that uses it as an exact carbon copy, Roth?
France.
Well, France does, but we don't study them. Nigeria. Nigeria will use it. We'll study their Declaration of Nigeria. All right. You need to know that it is based on John Locke ideas. You should also note that he is the largest contributor to the American government. John Locke is like the #1 guy. All right, who can give me a John Locke idea that we have in our government? What do you got, Ryson?
That all men are created equal.
Sure, but give me a fancier theory. He actually wasn't the originator of that. He has 2 major theories. They're not up there. Those are some other things that, are in there. What do you got for me, Lily?
Social contract.
Social contract. And what is a social contract, Lily?
It's that the people in the government have different duties and rights that balance each other out.
Okay, yeah. So if our government doesn't work for us, Lily, what do we get to do?
Over.
Yeah! Consent of the governed is really what social contract is. If the government's working well, we will allow it to run. If the government is not working well, what do? We burn it down. Okay? That's consent of the governed. That is, that's John Locke. Alright, what's another one? What do you got? Amelia?
Natural rights.
Natural rights. And what are natural rights?
They are rights that everyone's born with, not to take away.
Sure. And what are they?
Time that wasn't really the case. But
No.
okay.
Yeah, obviously. It's only for white men,
Yeah,
obviously.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Life, liberty, and property is John Locke's. Jefferson adds pursuit of happiness, but either or will always score for John Locke or for Jefferson. Okay, so those are the 2 major components that you need to know. All right, next document. So here we go. You need to know Articles of Confederation. Oh, by the way, just a quick little, because you have a list quiz tomorrow. Who authorized the creation of the Declaration? Who authorized it? Will?
Was it
It's not a person. Andrew.
First Congressional Congress?
First Congressional authorizes it. Who signs it, Rachel?
The second.
Yeah. Second, sign it. All right. Articles of Confederation. Here we go. You need to know that it is, actually, who signs into law the Articles of Confederation? Who signs it into law, Elizabeth? It's a group of people. It's not one person. They signed all the other documents we care about. That's a very generic term, so that's a no-go. What do you got, Natalie? Second, write it down. You need to know it's the Second Continental. They're the ones actually signing all the papers, people. They're the ones who create the Navy by signing papers, create the Army by signing papers. They're the ones like doing like the actual legislation. They're the ones running themselves like a government. You have to know the difference between the first and the second. You have to know them. It's on your list. You gotta know it. All right. Articles of Confederation. Now, I have not taught you this document. I'm aware. Like, we haven't done the primary yet. It's sitting on that shelf right there. Sitting there waiting for us to do it next week. With that being said, you still need to know a little bit for tomorrow, for Thursday's test. You need to know that is the first attempt at government. Why do we call it an attempt, Marion? It fails. It fails. It's an attempt because it fails. Okay? Why does it fail? What is its biggest weakness, Rohan? Yeah, the central government is too weak. You need to know it has a weak central government. Why does it have a weak central government? Taylor? What are they afraid of, Taylor?
So much power and
In creation of a? That's a crayon.
Parliament.
No. Parliament's legislative body. They're not afraid of Parliament. What do you got? Joseph. Yeah, they're afraid of another king. So they keep it very weak because they don't want another king. Okay, they just got rid of a king 3,000 miles away. Do they want a king 3 miles away? Hell no. So, Articles of Confederation. You need to know it's the first attempt at government. You need to know it fails. You need to know it has a weak centralized government. And you need to know what event takes it down, Toby. Shays Rebellion. Okay, Shays Rebellion is the event that takes it down. Now, you don't need to write this down, but let me tell you what Shays Rebellion is. Shays Rebellion, so after the war, a bunch of our veterans, military veterans, okay? So, are these poor, helpless people? No, these are the best and the brightest of our generation, fought for the war, fought for our independence, and we have high regard for, yes? Well, anyway, these veterans didn't get paid for their service in the war. Is that fair or not fair? Not fair. So what they do is they start standing outside government buildings for like months and months at a time. Well, they are still not getting paid, so they get more and more annoyed. Then they start protesting outside government buildings saying, pay your vets, pay your vets. Well, guess what? No one is still getting paid. So the vets are becoming very disenfranchised. And so what they do is they start burning down government buildings and start, oopsies, killing government officials. Not on purpose. Things get wild. Okay? So, the problem is, and you do need to write this down next to Shays Rebellion, it's happening in multiple states. It's happening in multiple states. It's not like it's happening in Wilmington, Connecticut. It is happening across the states. Okay? Why does it almost sink the Union? Why? Hello, it comes back to its biggest weakness. Why does Shays Rebellion almost knock him out? Hayden.
Because the government doesn't have any like actual tangible ways to fight back against it because it's too weak.
Okay, there's no central government. The central government can't say, hey, Maryland, send me some soldiers so I can beat them in Connecticut. Hey, Massachusetts, send me some people so we can fight down here. They have no authority over everything. So when every state is trying to fight off their own rebellion, and so it's incredibly chaotic, and the whole Union almost sinks. Okay? So, because everything almost goes down in flames, we have what major historic event happened here in the United States? In 1787, what major thing begins? Cody? Not trying to trick you, Cody. If you took a look up here, you would see.
Constitutional Convention.
There you go. So, skip it. Your next heading is Constitutional Convention. Okay? So, things are dark. They eventually do put down Shays Rebellion, but everyone saw, like, woof, if this went on just a little bit longer, we would have lost. So, they call the Constitutional Convention. The original purpose of the Constitutional Convention is to revise the Articles of Confederation. They figure out, hey, we need to have a stronger central government to deal with these problems. So, that was the whole point they went, to strengthen the articles. But what did they do almost immediately when they got there, Rohan?
Decided to create a new constitution.
Yeah. They create a whole new thing because the articles could not be saved. You do need to know that. Now, one thing AP loves for you to know is that Rhode Island does not go to the convention. They're the only state that doesn't go. And someone asked me why they don't go, I just think they didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. Well, hindsight, do you think they think it's a big deal now? By the way, Rhode Island is actually the first state to ratify it. Isn't that funny? They didn't go to the convention, but they liked the paper, so they signed it real quick. All right, here we go. So, you need to know that Washington will be named the presiding officer. So what Washington does, if you've ever seen a picture of like convention hall and stuff, this is Washington, and he's just leading the conversation, giving people time to talk. He's like mitigating the situation. He's just trying to keep everyone in check and keeping conversation moving. Okay? You need to know that James Madison and Hamilton are the two largest contributors to the Constitution. James Madison and Hamilton are the two largest contributors. Okay? I don't need you to write anything down about Ben Franklin, but Ben Franklin is really old at this time. Like, he only lives like 6 more years after the Constitution is signed. He doesn't live that much longer. He's really old at this time, and he snores through most of it. Like, really snores. And, like, disrupts the conversation snores. And the reason why we know that is because George Mason, he wrote tons of diary entries from in Constitutional Hall, writing about what was happening, and he happened to sit right near Ben Franklin and literally complains in his diary how loud Ben Franklin snored. Does that make you happy? Fine, we'll get to the boring stuff. You don't need to write anything down, but you should know that Jefferson's not there because Jefferson's still in France doing like France things. Sam Adams is back in Boston making beer, and he was kind of on his way out because he likes more chaos than organization, which is why he was perfect for the Sons of Liberty, because he likes chaos and he was good at it. He doesn't really like, government. Patrick Henry wasn't there because he was raiding British ships and illegally fishing off of the coast of Nova Scotia, which will start the War of 1812. So you got to appreciate that. John Adams was really sick and he almost died, but he didn't die. But he almost did. All right, here we go. Issues of controversy is your next subheading underneath Constitutional Convention. Okay. First things first. I'm the realist. Representation in legislature. Okay, this is the big argument. They take months arguing this. Okay, and I'm going to simplify and dumb it down for you. Is that okay with you? Okay, so they're going to argue over representation in legislature. You need to know that they're going to take the New Jersey plan. Write down. They take the New Jersey plan and the Virginia plan. They take the New Jersey plan and the Virginia plan and make the Great Compromise out of it. They take two plans and make a compromise. Okay? So, they take the New Jersey plan, they take the Virginia plan, and they make the Great Compromise, which creates the House of Representatives based on population, parentheses lower, because it's the lower house. That creates the House of Representatives based on population, lower house, and then that creates the Senate, which is equal votes, which is the high house. So it's a Great Compromise, which is a mix between the New Jersey plan and the Virginia plan. You do have to know that. Okay. The second thing you need to know is states' rights versus national government. States' rights versus national government. Okay. This is a fear of a president becoming a king. This is in fear of a president becoming a king. And these are anti-federalists. It's a huge component that this creates. Then you have the power of the chief executive. Okay, what do we call the chief executive today? President. Okay, the powers. Okay, you should know they're pretty limited in the beginning. pretty limited in the beginning. That's because we obviously feared having a king. As time has passed, has the president gained more power or lost more power? Gained, absolutely. Okay? And then finally, slavery. Okay. You need to put a big star because you cannot understand all of these dynamics until you understand one thing. The South controlled the country's economy. So where's all the money coming from? The South. They're the ones with the crash crops of cotton. That was the largest producer. The South is where all the money is. The South is going to be where all the money is until about the 1830s, and that's when the Industrial Revolution is in full force up in the North. And then the wealth of America will shift from the agricultural South into the industrial North. And where is it still today? The North. Okay, the North is where all the money is being made. But you cannot understand all of these other things that I'm about to describe until you understand that the South has all the money. You need to know that the Constitution does not talk about slavery. The Constitution does not address slavery. Why? Why? Think about it. I just gave you all the information you need. Hayden.
Because the South controlled the economy and they wanted slaves, so they just didn't.
Yeah, the South pulled a rank. They said if you include slavery in there, remember, just by having it in the document means there's some laws that they're stuck to. Having it outside the document means they can do whatever the hell they want. So they had to listen to the South because the South has all the money. So there's no mention of slavery inside the Constitution. The second thing is your 3/5 compromise. Your 3/5 compromise. You need to know that the South wanted to count their slaves for what purpose? Why did they want their slaves to count? Why? Maggie? No, not for tax, because if you count them for taxes, then you have to pay for them, and no one wants to pay more in taxes. Can we agree, Joseph? Representation in what? You don't want them voting, do you, Joseph? No, the South does not want them voting. No. Natalie? And they want the House and Reps. The larger the population, the more votes you get in the House of Representation. So, the South is going to come up with 3/5 compromise. Why isn't it the 5/5 compromise? Why, Hayden?
Because they still didn't want slaves, so they think they were actually
Yes, they're not citizens. They're not citizens, because if they were at 5/5, they would be a whole person, right? You remember reducing your faction? Yeah. They'd be a whole person. If they were a whole person, they had rights, which means they could vote. The South doesn't want them voting, so they gave them 3/5 of a person, which means you're not a person, which means you're not a citizen, but they still get counted in the census because they wanted the votes in the House of Representatives. So who is getting everything they want? The South. They are getting the benefit of not having the word slavery in the Constitution because they have no limitation to their power of slavery. They also get their slaves counted for bodies so they can get into more votes in the House of Representatives, but those slaves have no rights because they're only 3/5 of a person. How powerful is the South at this time? Quite powerful, because they could not have done it if the South left, which is why these are the original sins that have allowed the stains of slavery to continue until 2023. All right, here we go. The next thing you need to understand is the Electoral College. That's your next subheading. Okay, here in America, we use two forms of voting. Ryson, what type of voting do we have here in the United States?
They're voting for the Electoral College.
Electoral College is one, and what's the second type of voting?
Majority,
It's not called popular vote. There you go. So we have two types of voting here in the United States: Electoral College and popular vote. What elections do we go by, Lucy, for the popular vote? No. Well, you can't just say state. That's kind of a weird thing. We just don't vote for states, right? What inside the states? Help her out, Ava. Where do we see popular where do we see popular elections? Huh? Sure. I mean, that would be more of a state thing, but we're talking national government at this point.
like Senate elections.
Senate elections
And
and House of Representatives are all based on popular elections. Okay, so whoever gets the most votes gets the Senate position or the House of Representatives. Who is the only person that has to win the Electoral College? It's only used in what race? What is it, Will? Come on, man, I need you working with me here. It's also on the board, it's not a trick. What election is the only one that's tied to an Electoral College, Will?
Presidential.
The presidential is the only one. Why, Natalie? Why does the presidential have an Electoral College?
They didn't want like someone crazy.
Yeah, they didn't want an idiot, so it's a fail-safe. It's a fail-safe. It's supposed to secure the ability of the people in charge to make sure an idiot doesn't become president. Okay? Now, keep in mind, they're making all this shit up in a hot room in Philadelphia in 1787. Has any of this ever been used before? No. Everything they're doing is making things up and seeing if it will work. So they do this in order to have a fail-safe. Okay? Which is why we still have it. Okay. Your next heading is ratification. Your next heading is ratification.
Like main heading or subheading?
Subheading. Sorry. Ratification. What is ratification, Toby?
Like when you want a document,
When you what a document?
when you want like an agreement not approved or something.
Okay, approved by who?
Like people.
No. No. I'm gonna still say no. Miss Phillips, what is ratification?
Like when you're approved for the law or something.
By who? Don't tell me people, because that's what he got wrong. Well, if it's not by people, then it has to be by. Andrew. Congress? No, it's not ratification. What is it, Ryson? The states. Ratification is when the states approve of a law. Okay? So, the states have to. So, all these 55 people are sitting in a room sweating it out, arguing about the Constitution. Okay? As soon as they finish writing the Constitution, they all sign it and they're so proud of themselves. And then they send it out to every single state. Every state has a legislature. We have one here in Florida. Okay? Whether you love DeSantis or hate DeSantis, I don't care. But the laws that DeSantis has passed in the state of Florida, does it affect Georgia? No, it only affects us here in Florida, like his books bans and other things that he's done. Okay? With that being said, that only affects us here in Florida because it's all passed by the Florida legislature. So, in order to get the Declaration of the Constitution ratified, you have to send it out to the states, and they have to agree to it. And you have to get 9 out of the 15. Okay, once it's sent out and get ratified, everyone falls into 2 camps. Write it down. So, once it gets sent out for ratification, 2 camps emerge, or 2 groups emerge. So, remember, it's only 55 people yelling at each other in a room for 3.5 months. Once they send it out to the state legislatures to get ratified, everyone is reading it now, and the whole country is divided between Federalists and Anti-Federalists, which is the second. Okay, so Federalists, you need to know they are pro-Constitution. You need to know the major leaders are who? Who are my major leaders, Hilty?
James Madison.
And?
John Jay.
Fine, but he only wrote a couple. Who's the big guy?
Alexander.
Hamilton and Madison are your 2 big ones. I don't care if you know John Jay. Okay, he only wrote 5 of the Federalists. Okay, you need to know they do not believe in a Bill of Rights. They are anti-Bill of Rights. You do need to know that. They are anti-Bill of Rights. They thought state governments would protect it. They are anti-Bill of Rights because they thought state legislatures would protect it. Alright, so that's your Federalists. They obviously have the Federalist Papers, which is Madison and Hamilton. Alright, then you have your Anti-Federalists. Okay, these are the opposing groups. They are anti-Constitution. Anti-Constitution, anti-central government. anti-constitution, anti-central government, pro-Bill of Rights. They thought it was really important that it was stated in the piece, the Bill of Rights. Okay? And you need to know it's Brutus. B-R-U-T-U-S is the major anti-federalist. Brutus. B-R-U-T-U-S. Brutus is the guy. Okay, who obviously wins? Okay, okay. The Federalists win, but because of it, you need to put a big star. Okay? Ratified is passed in 1788. It is ratified in 1788. You need to know that the Bill of Rights is added to get the approval of who? Anti-Federalists. It was done as a compromise. So as soon as it gets ratified, they immediately add the first 10 amendments, which is known as the Bill of Rights. Okay? So it is done as a olive branch or a sign of compromise between the Federalists and the anti. All right. So perfect. How much time do I have?
1 minute.
Oh my God, we are ahead. So we will stop. Okay, you need to know that you have a list quiz tomorrow. You need to make sure that you have Constitution, Declaration, and Marbury versus Madison. Do you want to see what my slides look like for Marbury and Madison, or you don't care? You want to see it? Because remember, these list quiz are not supposed to trick you. They're just supposed to hold you accountable. This is what my Marbury Madison looks like. You'll note that I do tell you it's a Supreme Court case, always. On the quiz, this is obviously deleted. Right? That makes sense. See, as you can see, this is what it'll look like if this is it. Summary. Okay, I got the outcomes. Okay, and then the major aspects are literally copied and pasted. Hopefully you see that I am trying to make it as easy as possible as long as you know your content. For your Constitution, this is what my Constitution slide looks like. See ya. Bye.